Today, we're talking about the depressing truth behind making your first six figures.
Money, 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 money.
This is what $100,000 cash looks like.
Wow.
If you ask me, this is a little bit underwhelming. I thought it would have been a lot more than this. It's a pretty big stack of cash, but this is 1/10 of $1 million, which is what everybody thinks. You know, you've made it at $1 million. And when you look at 1/10 of that, it makes you realize it's not that much money. My name's Christopher Claflin, and I've worked with businesses from all over the world, designing and building websites, web-based applications, mobile applications, and I've seen quite a bit. And I was doing some research the other day and stumbled across an interesting statistic. But first, I want you to ask yourself, how would it feel if you could make $100,000 take home in a year, produce that kind of value so that you bring that home for you and your family? Pretty good, right? Well, chances are, if you're employed, you've already made your first $100,000. You just didn't get to take it home. In the United States, the average employee generates $200,000 in revenue for their business or their employer. Even if you're not making $100K a year, you've already produced that kind of value with your labor, with your effort. What? Let's talk about realistically how you can keep more of what you make in terms of value that you're providing to the marketplace and make it to your first $100,000 take-home year. Here's how you do it. And if we're being honest with ourselves, regardless of what you do, if you're not bringing home $100,000 a year, but you know you're generating that for your business, it's probably not going to go down super well if you go to your boss and say, "Listen up, boss man. I know how much money I'm worth, and until you start paying me for it, I'm not coming into work."
Remember a couple of months ago when I wanted a raise?
Forget it. I don't want to do this.
And the company wouldn't give me one. You would give it to me out of your own pocket. And you said the company would not allow it because it would create jealousy among the other secretaries. Now, was that true, or did you just not want to pony up the dough?
Because they're going to be like, "It's been a pleasure working with you. You're fired," and they're going to replace you. So in my opinion, the only way to vastly increase your take-home pay, the money that you have available, is to start your own thing. But there's a smart way and a dumb way to do it. The dumb way is to take a dump on your boss's desk, run around the office flipping everybody off, and walk out the door without a plan.
You have no brains, no ability, nothing. I quit.
So step number one to making this all happen and walking away from the corporate monkey race and running your own thing that can not only generate six figures for you, but seven figures and up annually if you follow all these steps and if you get really lucky and if you work really hard. Step number one is to start paying attention to how things are run in the organization you're already in. Start asking vague but intelligent questions about who is responsible for what. Here are the big things to pay attention to. How are new customers and clients acquired? How are products or services rendered and delivered? Who's in charge of making sure that customers are happy and following up with customers to try to get repeat customers? And who's managing all of it? How are they managing all of it? Start asking these questions and start taking notes over the course of weeks and months until you have a clear picture of how this business runs. Because the truth is, most businesses are run simply because simple is better and there are fewer fires to put out. And even if you feel like your business is run by a bunch of buffoons,
I declare bankruptcy!
After you boil it all down, it's still run pretty simply enough that a bunch of buffoons can still run it and make a lot of money. That's what makes everybody so upset, right? Well, if they can do it, you can do it. So start taking notes on who does what and how everything operates so you can get a full blueprint of your own business. And even if you're not going to launch a business in the same area or industry, the same basic principles are still going to apply. Step number two to making your first $100,000 or $200,000 take home is to start your own gig on the side. The answer is not to quit your job and start your own business. You actually want to start your own business while you're working at your company. A new business is hard to grow and it'll grow slowly. So you don't want to quit your day job. You want to start your thing on the side and let it grow slowly. It's a little ember. And if you throw too much kindling and fan the flames of a tiny ember too soon, you're in danger of putting it out. So it's best to let it grow to a point where you're pretty certain that it's going to survive before you quit your day job to go full time into this new venture that you've started. And at the beginning, you're going to be doing everything yourself. And that's okay, because at the beginning, you can do the job of multiple departments when your client book is small and growing. And as it starts to grow, eventually you can quit your day job, run your business full time on your own, wearing a dozen different hats. And while you're doing that, step number 2, this is really important. The big part of step number 2 is to start jotting down the process that you go through for things that you end up doing over and over and over. You want to make a manual for the things that you're doing over and over. And these are eventually going to become your employee handbooks for the people that you hire to do the menial tasks that you wind up doing every single day, just like you were doing at your old job. Because by the time you get to the point where it makes sense to hire somebody else, chances are you're already bringing home 6 figures or more, $100,000 or $200,000 in your pocket. And then your sights are going to be set on your first 7-figure year. And you can't do 7 figures by yourself. Maybe some people can, but I don't personally know anybody that does. So finally, step number 3 is hiring employees for your own business that you've started and scaling and replacing your need to be there every single day working. Which brings me to 3 final points that I want to bring up for this video, because it can be a little bit, it can feel a little bit disingenuous to go from the exploited employee to the exploiting employer, because that's what everybody hates, right? You don't want to be that person that's taking advantage of other people's labor. That's what you just escaped. So how can you, in good conscience, hire employees to do the jobs that you have been doing to grow and scale your business into the 7 figures? I've got a couple thoughts on this. So if you care to hear them, stick around. If not, get out there and start taking notes so you can build your own business and make your first 6 figures. Bring it home. Keep your money. Make what you're worth. But if you're interested, here are my thoughts on employing others after you've escaped the trap of being an employee yourself. First, my wife pointed this out to me once. Not everybody despises being an employee. I do. I think it's unethical, but that's not everybody. Some people just want a job that they can go to and stay busy at and be social and make some money. My own mother is this way. She's amazing. She could make so much more money than she does, but she doesn't really want to. She likes having a job where she can go in, chitty chat, get her work done and be social, and then come home and forget about it. So if you're employing other people, you're not necessarily robbing them of anything. If you hire the right people, they're going to be happy in the position that you hire them for, assuming you treat them well. And that's what we want, is to treat our employees well, because then your business can grow. Point number 2 to think about if you're the employer all of the sudden after escaping the trap of being an employee, if that's the way that you see it, keep in mind that not all of your employees are going to stick around forever. You're going to be hiring people that are going to be on the same journey as you, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've hired many developers myself that I know they're not sticking around, but the job that they have with me is a great opportunity for them to learn and for me to teach so that they can go off and start their own business. And a lot of employers feel like this is like a silly way of looking at things, because why would you allow an employee to go off and create a competing business? But the truth is, even in my own field, web development, there are so many specializations that most of the people who have worked for me and then left to do something else, even if it's a competing business that they've started, we refer and pass clients back and forth between each other all the time, because I know their work is good. I know their work ethic is good. They know me. And if I even have people that do projects that are way larger in budget than anything we take. And if they get a client that just doesn't have that budget, they send them back to me because it's a better fit for my business and my team that they used to be on. So don't feel like you're creating an employee trap. You're creating positions that can be stepping stones for people just like you that are going to go on to do bigger and better things for themselves. And if you keep good relationships, it'll help your business in the long run. And the last thing to consider is we live in a world where capitalism kind of has a bad rap. And a lot of people just have this anxiety about entering into that system as the employer, as the person that owns the business. But at the end of the day, don't get too hung up on it, because capitalism is the greatest system that has ever existed. 1,000 years ago, if you wanted to increase your wealth and your power, you had to sharpen your sword and go off and kill your neighbors and take their land and enslave their women. Now, if you want more power and more money, you create a product or a service that makes the world a better place, because nobody's forcing anybody to buy your product. It's amazing that we live in a world where if you come up with an idea or a service that makes people's lives easier, you get rewarded for that. And at the end of the day, the value that you put out is multiples higher than the amount that you're able to bring in. So I like to think of it this way. If you made $1 million in a year, it's probably because you created $10 million worth of value for your employees and all of your customers. So whatever you're taking home, it's a tiny fraction of what you've actually put out into the world that's good, that wouldn't have been there otherwise. The problem really comes when you get so big and so successful that you can start buying politicians, lobbying lawmakers, and sticking your hands and fingers into areas of politics and the economy that you just shouldn't have any control over. But thankfully, if you're watching this video, chances are you're never going to make it to that level, and you don't even have to worry about it. So don't have any kind of guilt over starting your own business, hiring employees, and building a better life for yourself. Just remember to treat people well, work hard, do what's right, and you can finally start to earn what you're worth and take it home and help others do the same thing. Let me know whether or not you agree and what business idea you have that you're thinking about launching. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me on TikTok at Christopher Claflin, on Instagram at Christopher Claflin, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.